I was 7 months pregnant when Marcus's mistress walked into my baby shower, and the first thing I felt wasn't shock. It was relief. Because now nobody would care what I'd done. She stood in the doorway of my sister's living room, hand on her own swollen belly, and said his name. Marcus. Just his name. My mom dropped the cake knife. 30 women in pastel dresses turned to stare at her, then at me, then at my stomach. The room went silent except for the Spotify playlist still chirping out some indie acoustic garbage my sister-in-law had picked. I should have been devastated. I should have crumbled. But all I could think was, thank God. Thank God everyone will be so focused on him that they'll never ask whose baby I'm actually carrying. Because it wasn't Marcus's. I'd been sleeping with Ethan for 9 months. My coworker. The guy with the CrossFit body and the podcast about entrepreneurship and the way of making me feel like I was 23 again instead of 34 and trapped. Marcus and I had been trying for 2 years. Fertility treatments, ovulation kits, scheduled sex that felt like a chore. And then one night after a work happy hour, Ethan walked me to my car and kissed me, and I let him. I told myself it was just once. Then it was twice. Then it was 3 times a week in his apartment while Marcus worked late trying to make partner at his firm. When I got pregnant, I didn't even question it. The timing lined up close enough. Marcus was over the moon. He cried. He called his mom. He started building the crib that same weekend. I never told him the truth. I convinced myself it didn't matter. The baby would be ours. He'd never know. Ethan didn't even know I was pregnant. I'd ghosted him 2 weeks after I saw the positive test. Blocked his number. Avoided him at work. He got the hint. But Marcus's mistress showing up? That changed everything. Her name was Simone. She worked at his firm. She was 28, beautiful, and her baby was 4 months behind mine. She told everyone in that living room that Marcus had been seeing her for over a year. That he'd promised to leave me. That he'd been lying to her, telling her I was cold, that our marriage was dead, that he was just waiting for the right time. My mother started crying. My sister grabbed my arm. Someone turned off the music. Marcus wasn't even there. He'd gone to pick up more ice. I sat on the couch in my floral maternity dress, surrounded by gifts I hadn't opened, and I felt nothing. Not heartbreak. Not betrayal. Just this creeping, cold realization. I had no room to be angry. I had no right. I'd done the same thing. Worse, actually, because I was carrying another man's child and letting my husband believe it was his. Simone left after 10 minutes. She'd accomplished what she came for. The shower was over. People filtered out in stunned silence, hugging me, whispering things like, "I'm so sorry," and "You deserve better." I nodded. I smiled. I played the role. When Marcus came home that night, I was waiting. He walked in with 2 bags of ice and froze when he saw my face. "She came to the shower," I said. He dropped the bags. Ice spilled across the kitchen floor. He didn't even try to deny it. He just stood there, staring at me, and I watched him choose his words carefully. "It's not what you think. She's pregnant, Marcus." "I know." "You know?" "I ended it 2 months ago. She won't let it go." I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to throw something. But instead, I just sat there, feeling the baby kick inside me, and I thought, I'm worse than him. I'm so much worse. That's when I should have told him. Right then, I should have said, "I cheated too. This baby might not be yours." But I didn't, because I was a coward. Because I thought maybe, just maybe, we could survive this if I kept my mouth shut. We went to therapy. Marcus begged for forgiveness. He swore it was over. He cried in session. He held my hand. He painted the nursery. He read parenting books. He did everything right. And I sat there, week after week, letting him believe he was the only one who'd broken us. The baby came 6 weeks later. A boy. We named him Owen. He had Ethan's eyes, Ethan's nose, Ethan's square jaw. Marcus didn't notice at first. He was too busy being a dad. Too busy making up for what he'd done. But I noticed. Every time I looked at Owen, I saw Ethan's face staring back at me. 3 months in, Marcus started asking questions. "Does Owen look like your side of the family? Why doesn't he have my ears? He doesn't really look like either of us, does he?" I deflected. I laughed it off. I showed him baby pictures of my cousin who had dark hair too. But Marcus wasn't stupid. One night, he came home from work early. I was in the nursery, feeding Owen, and Marcus just stood in the doorway, watching me. His face was different. Cold, distant. "I ran into Ethan today," he said. My blood went cold. He congratulated me on the baby, said he heard through the grapevine. Then he asked how old Owen was, and when I told him, he got this weird look on his face, like he was doing math in his head. I couldn't speak. So I did the math too. Marcus continued. "And you know what I realized? Owen was conceived right around the time you and Ethan were working on that project together, the one where you were staying late every night. Marcus. Is he mine?" I could have lied. I should have lied. But I looked at Owen, and I looked at Marcus, and I just couldn't anymore. "I don't know," I whispered. He didn't yell, he didn't cry, he just nodded, like I'd confirmed something he already knew. Then he walked out of the nursery, packed a bag, and left. He texted me 2 hours later, "Get a paternity test. I'll be at my brother's, The test came back 3 weeks later. Owen wasn't his. Marcus didn't come back. He didn't call. He didn't ask to see Owen. His lawyer sent me divorce papers and a custody agreement that gave him nothing because Owen wasn't legally his. He signed away every right without a fight. I tried calling him, texting, begging, but he'd blocked me everywhere. His family wouldn't talk to me. His friends acted like I didn't exist. Simone had her baby 2 months later. A girl. Marcus's daughter. He posted about her on social media. Photos of him holding her, smiling, captions about second chances and new beginnings. He moved on like I'd never existed. Like Owen had never existed. And I was left alone with a baby who looked like a man I didn't even love, in a house that was too big, with a ring I couldn't wear anymore. The first few months after Marcus left were a blur of diapers, sleepless nights, and silence. Nobody called, nobody visited. My family was polite but distant. They'd loved Marcus. They'd watched him rebuild after his affair, and then I'd blown it all up with my confession. My sister stopped inviting me to things. My mom would babysit Owen if I begged, but she'd look at him like he was a stranger's child. Which, I guess, to her, he was. Ethan wanted nothing to do with us. I reached out once, told him Owen was his. He responded with a lawyer's letter and a demand for a paternity test. When it came back positive, he set up child support payments and made it clear he wanted no relationship. No visits, no calls, just money, deposited monthly like clockwork, because the law said he had to. "I have a life," he wrote in an email. "A fiancé. I'm not interested in playing dad to a kid from an affair I regret. You made your choices. Don't drag me into them." So, I was alone. Completely alone. I went back to work when Owen was 4 months old. People knew. Office gossip spreads fast, and someone had connected the dots between me, Ethan, and my sudden single motherhood. Ethan had transferred to another department. I'd see him sometimes in the hallway, and he'd look right through me like I was invisible. Women I used to have lunch with stopped responding to my texts. The moms group I joined during my pregnancy kicked me out. One of them actually said, "We don't think you're a good influence." I'd scroll through social media and see Marcus's new life. Photos of him with Simone and their daughter Lily. Family photos, zoo trips, birthday parties. He looked happy. Simone looked radiant. They'd gotten engaged 6 months after Owen was born. He'd completely erased me. Our wedding photos were gone from his profiles. Our relationship, our history, all of it, just deleted like I'd never been part of his story. I tried dating. I made a profile on an app, but every match ended the same way. They'd ask about Owen. I'd explain, and then they'd ghost. One guy actually said, "So, you cheated on your husband, got pregnant by your affair partner, and let your husband think it was his?" Yeah, I'm gonna pass. I deleted the app. Owen turned 1. I threw a small party at my apartment. Just me, my mom, and my sister. No friends, no cousins, no other kids. Owen smashed cake into his face while I took photos I'd never post anywhere because I had nobody to share them with. I saw Marcus's post the same day, Lily's first birthday, a huge party, balloons, a bounce house, dozens of people. The caption, "My whole world. Grateful for second chances. I cried in the bathroom while Owen napped. The worst part wasn't the loneliness, it was the shame. The constant, suffocating shame that followed me everywhere. At the grocery store, I'd run into old friends from my marriage and watch them pretend not to see me. At the pediatrician's office, I'd hear whispers from other moms. At work, I'd sit in meetings and feel people's judgment like a weight on my chest. I destroyed everything. My marriage, my family, my reputation. And for what? For Ethan? For some fantasy of excitement and being wanted? Ethan had never loved me. He'd never promised me anything. I'd built him up in my head as this escape, this better option, when really he was just a guy who wanted to sleep with a married woman and didn't care about the consequences. And Marcus, who'd cheated too, who'd hurt me, had somehow come out the other side clean. People forgave him, gave him a second chance, because he'd been honest. He'd admitted his mistakes. He'd done the work. I'd lied. I'd hidden. I'd let him bond with a baby that wasn't his and then ripped it all away. Some nights, I'd lie awake and imagine what life would be like if I'd just told the truth from the start. If I'd said, "Marcus, I cheated. I'm pregnant. I don't know if it's yours." Maybe we still would have divorced. Maybe he still would have hated me. But at least I wouldn't have stolen those months from him. Those moments of believing Owen was his. I stole that from him. And I stole it from Owen too. Because now Owen would grow up without a dad. Not because Ethan died or left for reasons out of his control, but because I made choices that ensured he'd never have one. Ethan didn't want him. Marcus couldn't claim him. And I couldn't undo any of it. Owen started calling my mom Mama a few months ago. She corrects him, but he doesn't understand. He's too young. But I see it coming. The questions. Where's my dad? Why don't I have a dad like other kids? And I'll have to tell him the truth someday. That his dad exists but wants nothing to do with him. And that the man who could have been his dad, who wanted to be, found out the truth and walked away. How do you tell your kid that? How do you explain that his entire existence is the result of your selfishness and lies? I can't get Marcus back. I can't make Ethan care. I can't undo what I did. I see Marcus sometimes, from a distance. At the park with Lily. At the coffee shop near his office. Once, at a restaurant, with Simone and her family. He looked right past me like I was a stranger. And I guess I am now. I had everything. A husband who loved me. A marriage that could have survived his affair if I'd been honest about mine. A chance to start over, to build something real. Instead, I have a 2-bedroom apartment I can barely afford, a son whose father wants nothing to do with him, and a reputation I'll never rebuild. People don't forgive women like me. They don't give us second chances. They don't forget. I've started therapy. My therapist keeps asking me what I've learned, what I'd do differently. And the answer is everything. I do everything differently. But I can't. So instead, I wake up every morning, and I take care of Owen, and I go to work, and I come home, and I sit in the silence of a life I destroyed. And every single day, I think about the moment I decided to cheat, the moment I let Ethan kiss me, the moment I chose to lie. I think about it, and I hate myself a little more. Because some mistakes don't get fixed. Some choices don't get undone. Some bridges, once burned, don't get rebuilt. I didn't just lose Marcus. I lost myself. And I took my son's chance at a normal life down with me. If you're reading this and you're thinking about cheating, about lying, about convincing yourself it won't matter or no one will find out, stop. Because you can't outrun the truth. And when it catches up, it won't just destroy you. It'll destroy everyone you should have protected.